The eruption of violence had silenced and scattered the birds. For a moment, all that could be heard was the gentle tinkle of metal feathers and the plaintive croaking of the bird that Edric held fast. Then slowly the bird song flowed back in, and it was as if the halflings had heard the advice they needed before one of them approached the group.
Show your nay, da skoden, si no your shoden ne kespa, the Kuji made skod your nice skadod.
Miria drew a blank. This language resembled none she'd ever heard before. But after a moment, Raxton spoke up. Yo ye nainado. Asquad na Nilkin chon? Shone nake yashkud? Miria noted Edric nodding and leaned into him.
I don't understand a word that's being said. Do you?
Some of it. I speak mainland Halfling. This is an island dialect, but I get most of what they're saying. They're thanking us for fighting the Kuji that they had upset. They say that if we hadn't come along, they probably all would have been eaten. Raxton is saying that he's happy to help our neighbors, the Nilkin. That it's what any good person would have done. Na koko na da yashon ni sadod?
Chak.
Kasudod. Shone yagadin da ost ni yayay te shokurai?
He seems a bit rusty in the language.
Actually, he's doing really well. Halfling grammar gives just about everyone a headache. After a few moments of further exchange, Raxton turned to the group. I've told them that we're here on a matter of magic, that we're looking for something that was lost in the jungle. They're not sure they can help us, but they've offered to take us and shelter us for a night, and then let us speak to their shaman, that maybe they can help us and we can help them.
Oh, thank the void. I could use a night without a sky over my head.
Edric nodded, but added a word of caution. We just have to be careful. The ways of the halflings are mysterious. They tolerate the humans, but they don't come to our part of the island, and we don't have a lot of exchange with them. Now would someone please bind this bird before my spell wears off so I can get up? Welcome to Swords Against Madness, an experiment in gonzo storytelling and solo role-playing. I'm playing a solo game of swords and wizardry, amplified by other classic role-playing games like Traveller, and accompanied by solo role-playing tools like the Mythic Game Master emulator. First I play the game, then I turn it into a psychedelic sword and planet audio drama for your entertainment. Swords and Wizardry is based on the original 1974 through 1977 rules to Dungeons & Dragons. It is trippy, fast-paced, and lethal, just the way I like it. There will be no protection for player characters when the dice decide that their number is up. But I do keep the story PG, or at least what passed for PG in the 1980s. If you didn't see it in Temple of Doom, Goonies, or Gremlins, you won't hear about it here. So reload that three-bladed sword. Get comfortable in your studded leather kirtle or your chainmail bikini. Fire up the wizard band. It's time to get weird. Welcome back to Swords Against Madness. My last episode had some pretty hairy moments in it. 2 combats back to back. One cost me the life of Burl. The other, the player characters managed to rescue some but not all of a group of halflings who'd run foul of an interesting monster. The first of those battles I broke down because of where it came from. The vine monsters in it were inspired by the Vine Horrors, from the much-beloved introductory adventure to Dungeon Crawl Classics RPG, Sailors on the Starless Sea. But it's not the only module that I draw a lot of inspiration from. The Kujibird is a creature that comes from Hot Springs Island. If you're not familiar, Hot Springs Island comes in 2 books. A Field Guide to Hot Springs Island and The Dark of Hot Springs Island, which are a set of adventure modules set in a early modern period Age of Sail campaign. Hot Springs Island is made definitely for D&D, but it is edition agnostic. It only provides a few very simple stats and guidelines. The rest is either up to the GM to develop, or you can go to the homepage of the creator, Swordfish Islands, and get a packet of stats for at least 5th edition. I've run it both using Lamentations of the Flame Princess and Swords and Wizardry over the years. In Hot Springs Island, the player characters arrive on a mostly unexplored tropical island, working for a fantasy equivalent of the East India Company. As you crawl the island, you find the ruins of not one but several civilizations. You can discover the ruins and prisons of gods from the dawn of time. You can find the ruins of a serpent folk civilization that were masters of genetic engineering and responsible for many of the strange plants and monsters unique to the island. And you can find an elf civilization that went from peaceful and idyllic to becoming warlike as they fought the mindless remnants of the serpent army, and then fell into incredible debauchery and addiction when they became obsessed with a drug that amplified magic power, but at the cost of their freedom, integrity, and innocence, before finally becoming a plain-faring civilization almost as evil and fiendish as the demons and devils they had started trafficking with. More recently, the island has become the secret base of an Ifrit and his legions of elemental servants as they create an addictive substance for earth elementals. He is in perpetual war with a race of ogres that had once been his slaves, but who were freed by a god of vengeance, who granted them strange and powerful new magics, threatening a powerful interplanar ally, and causing the Ifrit to live in fear that his financiers will find out just how badly things are going. The player characters, of course, are ignorant of all of this, and arrive setting off a powder keg in the process. The module is rife with fascinating bits of lore and structure to it. As you adventure, you can find signature magic items, signature art and architecture from all the different civilizations, and, in the case of the elves, different stages of their civilizations, which can tell you the story without a single lore dump or any serious exposition. Observant players with a good GM can unlock the mystery of the Hot Springs Island simply by observing the evolution of the architecture and getting a sense of its relative age. This is something I aspire to with every one of my D&D settings ever since I read Hot Springs Island. And of course, it's also a treasure trove of fantastic and exotic monsters and plants, many of which I've seeded across Nar in some way, shape, or form. The Kujibird is one of my favorites, essentially an oversized, mean-tempered dodo that naturally grows feathers of gold, as well as razor-sharp, gold-infused claws and beak. In Hot Springs Island, the Kuji has been believed to be extinct for years. Most people pass it off as a myth to entice sailors to do stupid things. But player characters who explore enough of the island can find the last nesting ground of the Kujis, threatened by an incoming wave of lava. Naturally, the Kujibird only works if it is endangered. If players could just farm the beasts, then there would be absolutely no reason to go adventuring. And so on Nar, I decided to make them equally exotic, an endangered species dying out on the island, already hunted to the brink of extinction. And I had Edric, being very knowledgeable, act accordingly, and use the fact that, like most birds, if it's blinded, it will simply give up and be still to neutralize the creature. In the process, the party has saved the lives of a lot of halflings, something that gave them a substantial bonus on an NPC reaction roll. Tragically, I rolled that they were on the neutral side of friendly, So the Halflings in this case see these player characters as someone that they could possibly get more help from. After all, they're clearly competent. They see Miria, Edric, Kale, and Raxon as competent strangers who can help them with a little problem, in return for help finding the apparatus and safe passage across their lands. The trek to the Halfling village was arduous. It was hard to keep up with the small, agile people who moved so easily and so readily over stump and vale. Even with so many of them, they disappeared into the underbrush quite frequently, and more than once had to come back for their lumbering human tag-alongs. The sun was well down, and all of their backs were aching by the time they reached a spot that the Halflings declared was home. At first they could see nothing that would indicate a village was there. But as one of the foragers called out, the place sprang to life. Patches of mossy rock shifted themselves, proving to only be made of stiffened fabric. Clusters of flowers parted, revealing hidden caves underneath. Doorways appeared on the sides of trees. Miria was amazed. It would have been easy to just walk right through the village and never know you were anywhere near it. And she couldn't help but think if they were unwelcome, they would probably disappear one by one into hidden holes, until they were separated, alone and easy prey. The thought put her on edge, the kind of edge she had when she was making a deal with a new party. More than once, smugglers had taken one look at her and her ship and decided they'd rather have the ship than the smuggler. But at least Edric and Raxon seemed at ease with the Halflings. Raxon attempted in his halting halfling to explain what was going on, what they were doing, and what they were looking for. Kale eventually joined in with his even worse halfling, as they added in numerous sound effects and hand gestures to try and explain what was going on, who Miria was, and what had been happening down at the village. The halflings, it seemed, were familiar with the Gorum. Perhaps that was a step in the right direction. Perhaps it was a strike against them. There was nothing to do for it but watch and wait. In time, the crowd stopped gathering, dispersed a little bit, got comfortable. They didn't seem to object to Miria having a seat as she watched Raxon and Kale attempt to explain everything. By luck, she sat down on a stump near a halfling woman with long braids that were shedding a lot of hair. She collected up a sample and ran it through the analyzers on her gauntlet. "Do you mind if I ask what you're doing?"
Learning the history of your people, really.
"From a hair?"
I keep forgetting how much science your people have lost. Are you familiar with the concept of heredity?
"Well, I suppose we're backward, but we're not that backward, Miria. Of course I understand heredity."
Of course, I didn't mean any offense. It's just, I don't understand where your technology is and where it isn't, if you catch my drift.
That's fair. We seem to have lost a lot more than we understand.
Well, your heritage leaves markers in your body, in chemicals, that my gauntlet can read. Humans have drifted a bit in their heredity over the years. Random circumstance, disease, intentional changes to our heredity through science. Interference from creatures like the Carver. When I end up on a Neobarb world like this...
She saw Edric flinch.
I'm sorry, I guess that's a bit of a rude term, isn't it? When I visit a planet that's been cut off for a while, I can usually look at the hereditary markers and see roughly when they stopped communicating with the rest of the galaxy, when new people stopped coming to the planet, that sort of thing. With humans, it's not an exact science, but I think your planet's been cut off for about 1,500 years. Halflings, on the other hand, they're easy to read. All halflings started as humans at some point or another, and then they were seriously modified to survive better in low-gravity environments, to work on spaceships, that sort of thing. Multiple times in history, human beings have intentionally created halflings to work on starships, sometimes willing, sometimes as slaves. But the way in which someone became a halfling and when can be read in the acids in their body.
You're saying halflings are altered humans?
They're not the only ones. During the diaspora, humans messed around a lot with our heredity, changed ourselves around a lot, mixed ourselves with other alien beings. Elves are a sort of optimized human, although in space they generally look at themselves as the end point of human evolution.
She gestured at Kale's back.
If I could get my hands on Kale's hair, I could probably learn a lot more. But to be honest, what I'm doing is already rude enough.
Is that true of all the man-shaped races of our world? The orcs and goblins, too?
You have orcs and goblins on this planet, too? The fact that they're there tells me a lot about when this colony was founded. No, the shape of orcs is totally a coincidence. They're nothing like us. And the same is true of goblins. They come from somewhere else. Most of the time, humans, orcs, and goblins war with each other. These days, galactic civilization mostly kind of suppresses them. There was a time where we got along a lot better. Even times when we built joint colonies together. I'm guessing yours must have been from that time period, where humans and orcs could stand the sight of each other. Something I can verify about now.
There was a soft beep, and a readout began scrolling across the screen on the back of her gauntlet. She read the diagnostics carefully, once, then twice, to be sure she had it right.
But this makes no sense.
Now this is a matter of supreme importance.
Welcome to Stories from the First Watch. This is both a solo game and an experiment in storytelling. The story and the character's actions will unfold upon the roll of the dice. They are in control.
Be careful what you say, or you have no tongue at all.
Follow the exploits of a party of adventurers forced to take on a dangerous mission on behalf of a shadowy organisation.
Just be careful when insulting minor lordlings. Their egos can be dangerous things.
Available on Podbean, Spotify and Podchaser. And come and listen to more Stories from the First Watch.
The hospitality of the wild halflings was not what they had hoped. Once Raxon and Kale managed to finally get the message across, and the story of their heroism in defeating the Kuji, the halflings assented to let them stay for the night, and to let them see the shaman in the morning, in hopes that he might be able to direct them to what they're looking for, and make sure they have a right to take it in the first place. The only place that could hold them was the audience dome, a grand sphere of wicker buried deep beneath the roots and soil of their area. It was cushioned well with soft jungle leaves and ferns. It was aromatic, with tangled flowers dangling from the ceiling, and lit by a few dim coals in a salvaged metal bucket. They were offered cool water, fresh fruit, tobacco, and a meal of grilled chinchillas that Miria couldn't bear to eat. Once they were inside and fed, the halflings seemed to ignore their guests entirely. I get the feeling that those little fellows who we saved, bringing us here was a bit of a break to their taboos. I don't think they want to make a habit out of letting big folk stay in their village, or even know where it is. We're probably going to be sworn to secrecy.
Should we be sleeping with one eye open?
I don't think it'll have to go that far, Miria. I just think that they're having a little problem knowing what to do with us. I can hear a little chatter if I'm really quiet. They're trying to figure out who will break the taboo to speak to us. Something about a lost one. I can't figure it out. Well, if they're trying to decide who will sully themselves enough to speak with us, at least it means they're not planning on murdering us in our sleep. That's a good point. Is there any truth to the rumors at all that I sometimes hear in different ports that the halflings of these islands are cannibals? If you mean they eat other halflings, no, they're not cannibals. If they'll eat people, it really depends on the tribe. I've never heard of anything like that happening on Nar, thankfully. But the Dark Sun tribe of the Troyden Islands, that's a different matter.
Why do I get the distinct feeling you guys are messing with my head?
Okay, you caught us. I am messing around a little bit here because you've been so quiet. You haven't had much to say except for that short talk you had with Edric. What's going on?
I've been trying to figure out exactly what's wrong myself. I've managed to gather some information with my gauntlet that doesn't make any sense to me. In fact, it doesn't make any sense based on the history of the cosmos as I know it. I wish I could afford to wake up Imperial and ask for his advice.
And you're being terribly mysterious about it. Can you clue us in at least a little?
What I can say right now is that these readings don't make any sense at all. It's like your people never went into space. It's like you came here before humankind traveled through the stars. And the Halflings, they don't make any sense at all. They don't match any gene profile for any of the known Halfling conversions. Something happened here. Something happened to your heredity, to your genetics. But I don't know what yet.
Well, what's the most logical explanation for that?
The most logical explanation is that everything I think I know about the universe is wrong.
She felt a strange, wordless affirmation from the all-knowing. One by one, the heat, the sweet smells, and the strange homey comforts of the dome claimed them. And for the first time in a while, they slept peacefully. In the morning, 2 of the gatherers they had rescued came in with hot tea and some fruit for breakfast. The 2 waited wordlessly for the companions to finish their meal, then took it away quickly. No sooner had they left than the shaman finally came in. A lanky halfling, his skin painted white and black in the pattern of a skeleton. Piles of long braids dangled down from his head, intertwined with beads, totems, and strange fetishes. He carried a staff that rattled and clinked from the baubles hanging off of it. He stared at the companions wide-eyed, his lips pursed, but he said nothing. He made a gesture towards each of them. A warning to be cautious, to be quiet, not to move, carefully conveyed in hands and eyes. And then he took a rattle from his belt and shook it. And with them came strange, heavy footfalls. And then a figure appeared in the hatchway, walking slowly down. An overwhelming scent of rotten vegetation came with it. And then the hulking figure stepped in. Naked, his head lolling slightly to one side, eyes clouded, his body painted with strange symbols. But everywhere, tangling vines ran up and down his flesh, flowers sprouted on his skin. A small crust of fungus was forming in places on him. And when he spoke, clouds of sweet pollen tumbled from his lips.
I will speak for the Nilkin.
Burl, is that you? How are you here?
The Nilkin found me. They gave me to the forest. The forest gave me life.
I am so sorry. I thought you were dead.
I was.
Then we are in their debt. Burl, I'm so sorry. Can you ever forgive us? Burl made a calming gesture with one of his vine-tangled arms.
It don't matter.
How can you say it doesn't matter? Burl, we thought you were dead. We thought we lost you. I was trying to figure out how to tell Aunt Eris, but it doesn't matter now. Oh, thank the gods, thank the starmen, thank whomever. Thank the Nilkin. I don't know what they've done to you, but I'm sure with the magic of the Order of the Stars, we can figure that out later.
I can't go home. I am of the forest now. The Nilkin know what you are looking for, and they can take you there. For a price.
The shock, the way Burl was speaking, seemed to be too much for Raxon at this point. He seemed to be drawing a blank as to how to continue, and so Kale stepped in for him. All right, Burl, what's the price?
Our spirit garden has been invaded by huge caterpillars. They are consuming the soul tree and our most important herbs. They must be driven off.
And if we refuse?
Then you will not be welcome in the forest of the Nilkin.
Swords Against Madness is played, written, and performed by Brian C. Rideout. Editing, mastering, and audio production were from Stormhead Productions. All sound effects are licensed from Pixabay. The opening theme to this episode was King Edward by Mr. Smith, made available through the Free Music Archive as a Creative Commons by attribution title. It also featured Dark Intentions by Universe Field, Zulu Sunrise by Lumine Wave, Technology Game App Marimba Informational Music by Dennis Pavlov Music, Hyper Adventure Action by Sonican, Bloom Spice Mirage by O'Dennehy, and Dark Magic Music by One Tent. All of those tracks are courtesy of Pixabay and licensed through them. It also featured the voice talents of Coop the GM from the Echoes of Eschaton podcast, an amazing post-apocalyptic solo role-playing adventure played using the Degenesis engine. I have been blessed with a lot of user reviews lately, and I'd like to share one with you now. This is in my top 4 Insta-Listen shows. Swords v Madness is trippy fun, engaging, thrilling, and a great yarn, while Brian includes enough behind-the-scenes material to make it much more than just a good yarn. Add in excellent music choice and sound quality, and this will be in your winners list too. That's from Larry Man Plays, of the Solo Bickering podcast. Your review means a lot to me, Larry Man. And I've been listening to your podcast right back, and I'm enjoying every minute of it. If you want to see maps, spells, monsters, and character sheets, you can find them at swordsvmadness.stormheadproductions.ca. And if you want to get in touch with me, email Brian at stormheadproductions.ca. Or get in touch on X at swordsvmadness. And until next time, play hard, roll high, and think weird.